This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Bo Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Paracave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, welcome back to the Paracave Podcast. And I've got two very special guests who have come on to do a preview about the Pacific Championships final, which is on Saturday, the 4th of November at 3 p.m. And now, it was supposed to be with the Warriorholic, and I did say that on the podcast a little bit earlier, so got a little bit excited there, but unfortunately, due to commitments, he was unavailable. But I do have the guys from the Warriors Anonymous podcast, Daniel and Gerard, on with me today. So how are you going, fellas?
Good, bro. Yeah, real good. Man,
all good, man.
It's a big loss, obviously, not getting the Warriorholic on, but bro, we'll try and fill in as best we can.
Look, that's fine, mate. That's fine. I've had him on before anyway, so I haven't had you guys on. So it's always good to share the love and talk about rugby league with other fans as well. So, all right, Pacific Championships final this weekend: Australian Kangaroos versus New Zealand Kiwis over in Hamilton. Do you want to start off with last week's game between the two teams, the same two teams? Or not really?
Did they play last week, did they?
Yeah. What happened last week? I was really up for it, like thinking, okay, post the Samoan game, and just looking at our squad, looking at our forward pack, thinking, right, we've got a good opportunity, and obviously no Payne Haas last week, no Tino as well, so just thinking, okay, right, there's a good chance, we could upset them, but I was wrong. We were wrong. I think for us, what we saw is the Australian class. Really, they just outmatched us in all areas. They handled us in the middle reasonably well, and I thought we should be dominant there. And then we lacked creativity and the ability to put pressure on the Australians as well. So, and then you just got the super X factor, like the hammer. Oh my gosh, you can't touch him, eh? He is electric. And the player for me that sums this up and probably annoys your fans too is Lindsay fucking Collins. Excuse my French. That man's everywhere. He literally is everywhere. Yeah. So, he was doing what Lindsay Collins does.
Big avocado eater, apparently.
Oh,
that's right. So, yeah, we're licking our wounds a little bit, but hey, a week is a long time in sport.
I think you fell into the big trap there as a Kiwis fan, though, Daniel, because the rule of thumb really with the Kiwis is that when they have a chance is when they get spanked, and when they have no show, that's when they go well. So it's a bit of a hard one to try and follow and predict, as we've found out over the years. But yeah, that's what makes it quite exciting and beautiful, I suppose, in a sense, as a Kiwis fan.
Yeah, I think one of the turning points of the game was when Harry Grant came on the field and just found that middle space, and obviously threw those passes, or that pass to Lindsay Collins for his try, and he made a massive impact into the game. Let me ask you guys this question. Now, I love the haka, right? I love watching it. It was a very different sort of one last week. And it sort of went for a long time, but sometimes, do you think the Kiwis, now this is no knock on them, but do they put so much effort into that haka and then they miss the start of the game? Because we saw Who's the winger? It's Jermaine Asako.
Mulitalo.
Asako kick out in the full, and so it wasn't the perfect start. But sometimes I just feel that they start off a little bit flat because of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that they definitely did get out of the blocks pretty slow last week, and after that big intense stare off, where you're right, it became the extended dance remix. It just went on and on, and that I don't know. I don't think it would have impacted what they were doing. I think it's probably just a case of individual kind of concentration to get things underway. But yeah, it added a lot of theatre, I guess, to start the match. I thought we were about to see a bit of a face-off right at halfway, but the Kangaroos didn't budge, so the Kiwis were like, all right, we'll come forward then. So I don't know if that might have just thrown them off their stride a little bit to kick off with. But I think in general, I think the huck is a special thing. And it definitely can help lift you into a game. But yes, I think it's just a matter of really switching on properly when it comes, when that whistle blows to start the game.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And just to add to that, as I say that, it's the leader's role in there to bring everyone back down. I guess performing a haka from a Māori culture point of view means you elevate your spirit to I guess another level, right? So that's a level of a level to where I guess it was used as a traditional war cry, much like the Aboriginal Torres Strait Island people, right? Is to wage warfare, but part of that is to go to another level. And I guess in this context, you're right, Troy. Sometimes you have to ground yourself and get back into it as well. And our friends on the other coast, I say friends, the All Blacks, probably have mastered that ability to perform the haka and then get back to their job as well. So maybe just lost a little bit of composure and missed the start.
I'd love to see the Australians do something before a game. I mean, I think there's so much, Indigenous culture in the teams these days and Indigenous players, so maybe they could spread that. We see it in the All-Stars games at the start of the year. Maybe they could do something like that. But I just love the Nico Hines and Ronaldo Mulitalo just eyeballing each other and smiling and it's supposed to be a battle war cry dance, and they're smiling at each other, laughing. So, it's good to see. But any other thoughts about last week's game at all, or we just move on to this week's final?
Yeah, look, I think Daniel really hit it on the head there with the pressure side of things, and that I think we see in the Kangaroos and the system that they've got and the players and coaching that they've gotten and have had for over the past few years. They know how to just keep applying the pressure until you eventually break. And that was one thing that the Kiwis were unable to, A, do on attack, but B, also they were unable to contain it, going the other way. They weren't able to respond and make key plays on defense to try and stop things and turn the momentum around. So I think that really will be a key focus, or at least a key learning to take from that first game. It was a tricky one because it was technically a sort of a setup kind of game.
Yeah, that's right.
Not that I should say that about test matches, because every test is special, right? But I think that's really probably going to be, I think, a major area that if this game is going to be anyway competitive, I think that the pressure side of things needs to be a bit more evened out between the two teams.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you just mentioned that it's a sort of a double-edged sword when you're playing the same side 2 weeks in a row, and you know that you're in a final the week after. You don't want to give too much away before the final, but obviously the Kangaroos made a few changes from last week, and the Kiwis have stuck with the same team that played last week. So, and look, let's move on to this week's game. And look, it's going to be a completely different game, I think, because this could be a danger game for the Kangaroos, because it's back in New Zealand. They've got the New Zealand home fans, and we sometimes do see the Kiwis step it up against the Kangaroos in these sort of type of games. And you go back to the '08 World Cup final, and the Kiwis got the Kangaroos there, and there's also been Tri-Nations games as well. But what are you most looking forward to in this week's game between the Kangaroos and the Kiwis?
For me, I'm most looking forward to seeing if we've taken the lessons of what happened and what transpired, and putting those into action. So I think what I can observe on the weekend is that we just lacked that sort of half creativity, and I like Jerome Hughes. I think he's a great halfback, a great running halfback, and I love Dills Brown, his running game too. But I think someone needs to, and it should be Jerome Hughes, just really get the troops around the field. If I'd rather have Sean Johnson out there just for they've got so many attacking weapons. You got Joey Manu out there as well. Matt Timoko has been a find for the Raiders as well, but we just haven't had the ability last week we had the ability to unlock that as well. So if we can unlock that, I think we can create havoc as well. But I think what I'm looking forward to is the forwards going, right, we got not dominated, but we were favoured and we got out-muscled. We need to apply some more pressure as well. So we need to win that battle. We've got the troops to win that battle as well, but it's going to be massive. If we can get some ascendancy there, then it goes a long way for snatching it really. Because I feel like we are massive underdogs now.
I hope that this game turns out to be a great event, because the Kiwis and the Kangaroos haven't played in New Zealand for about 5 years. Obviously, a lot of that was during the COVID sort of era. So, but that's a long time between drinks. So I really hope that this becomes a real sort of special match for the people going to the game. I understand the Mad Butcher's heading along, so that always gives the crowd a lift, and the boys as well. So I hope that this really goes off. I hope that a good crowd turns up. It sounds as though the weather forecast is only mildly dodgy for tomorrow, so that's encouraging in a way. I really hope that the people of Hamilton and the surrounding areas just get behind it and really just support this event. It's I know it's a new thing, the whole Pacific Championship things, but this is a final and this is a clash between the Kiwis and the Kangaroos, and that is a really special thing and extra special because obviously in New Zealand we just haven't seen it for a long time. So I hope that aspect of it is really celebrated tomorrow.
Daniel mentioned the forward battle there, and obviously the Kiwis have the premiership winning props, Moses Leota and James Fisher-Harris, who probably aren't scared of Big Tino and Payne Haas, who return this week, the big boppers for Australia. That's going to be a great battle, isn't it, between those four?
I mean, the price of admission, right? Like right there with those guys. And what I love about how this is set up is Payne Haas's comments a couple of weeks ago. Respectful comments was, he's sick of losing to these guys, right? In big matches. And, he wants to get it over them as well. So that brings the fire. And love him or hate him, we've got Big Nelson as well sitting in the background too. So I want to see him go to work and Joey T as well. So, it's just mouth-watering. But also I do like the battle with, I thought it was a little bit quiet last week, but Britain Dakota is our, if you can find the right angles, he will run the right lines as he'll be dangerous. Cameron Murray is always hard to deal with as well. And then shutting down Yo. So, that alone is with its weight in gold.
He's going
it's a blockbuster.
He's going for 7 tries in 7 tests, Cameron Murray, so he's going for the all-time scoring record, so that'll be good to see if he can get that one for sure. But yeah, as you mentioned before, Jerome Hughes, it's probably his team to lead around and his game to step it up and own this side and really direct the team around and get the points. And obviously we know Joey Manu in the centres there, he was contained pretty well last week by Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. A great effort there. So he was quiet last week, so he'll be after redemption again this week because we all know what Joey can do.
I think we just need to get rid of his shirt and then let him play topless because he was on fire then.
Yeah, no, that was a great thing. Yeah, shirts versus skins.
Yeah. Well, what does the referee yell out? To get him to get onside. Guy. Come back.
Well,
that's a physique.
Yeah, especially if he scored a try, it'd be a bit difficult, wouldn't it? Like, what number scored for the scorer of the score sheet? He's certainly, we all know what he can do, and it's been interesting because I think Chance Nickel-Cockstar is. We probably thought Joey would be fullback instead of centre, but Chance has had a great season this year with the Warriors and has got that fullback position and. Yeah, so we all thought that Joey would be at the fullback, but Chance has got that spot.
Yeah, that's been a real bone of contention. I think a lot of people surprised that Joey, real X Factor kind of player, and maybe just didn't get to express himself as he would have liked to in Melbourne. So I think that I think he'll be personally looking at the one-on-one battle with him and Hammer. Because Hammer, destroyed him last week, to be fair. And I don't think Joey, looking at some of the highlights from the game, I don't think he'd be happy with some of the things that he put out there. So I think that even if he floats around a little bit and freelances and does his thing, I think that could definitely work. The good thing about having Chance at the back is he's such a workhorse, right?
Yeah.
He can go back and clean up everything, try line tackles, try saving tackles sort of stuff, and those tough carries, bringing it out of trouble. So if we can get him, working in that role and Joey just chiming in at different times, that can actually prove a positive for the Kiwis. It can really, make him just, be purely the guy who can just go out there and sort of do what he likes and turn it on, which is, I know, a lot of people will be hoping that he can turn it on, shirt on or shirt off.
Yeah, no, definitely. Who do you guys think that the danger players from the Australians are that New Zealand's got to watch out for?
But you touched it. Yeah, you touched on it earlier as well. I didn't sort of profile that, but look, I thought Harry Grant had a quiet season this year. And I probably in the later stages of the Melbourne Storm campaign couldn't oppose his game, but it just seemed like last week was perfect for him. The fact that we had a bigger forward pack, and he had that kind of mix they have in Origin, right, where Hunt, blunts the start, takes that first 20 minutes, and Harry Grant kind of just comes in. So he was huge, and I expect him to probably be big again, hard to contain as well. Look, you got the Hammer. We talked about the Hammer. He is someone that you just got to be mindful of as well, and we're going to have to really watch what we do there. And then I quite like the fact you've just got some real workhorses, right? So Teddy's always just going to turn up. He's always going to be there, available. He's going to make meters. Dylan Edwards, right? I guess a guy that has just forced his way into rep football, right? Off the back of what he's been doing too. So, he is someone that will just get them into some good positions as well. Val Holmes too. He's a threat as well. He's a threat on social media. He's a threat in the game. So across the board, but I just keep coming back to guys like Lindsay Collins. Like he's a freak. I just think he's one of those guys that is just a pure footy player. But for the Australians, we look at it every time. Even Cameron Munster, right? He's not low key. We know what he can do too. So it's just, for us, we just know that there's threats across the park, and it's going to be hard to contain.
I think,
and they really, I thought that the halves last week defensively for the Kangaroos did a wonderful job. Munster and DCE were just they were pushing up and putting pressure on Dylan Brown and Jerome Hughes all the time, and so they couldn't really get set in their patterns or what they were trying to do, which I thought that was really wonderful. Even I know that they've got all the skills with the ball and direction around the field, but defensively those two guys they shut a lot down and caused so many problems. So that's going to be a real area of focus. I know also, Daniel, you've mentioned a couple of guys from the bench for the Kangaroos. Like you got Harry Grant, you got Lindsay Collins, Pat Carrigan, and Reuben Cotter. I have one word for a bench like that. That is unfair. You cannot have a bench that good. That is like, you look across the teams, you go through them, matchups, and then you get to the bench and it's like, oof, bro, that is a bench, man. That is some firepower to really come in and just cause carnage, because every one of those guys is an absolute gun at the top of their game, all from Queensland as well. I just look at that bench and think, man, that's pretty fearsome. We're gonna have to the Kiwis are gonna have to really start well, and try and get ahead of the game, because once these boys come in and start mixing it up, it can quickly change.
I think you mentioned Cameron Munster there. I think he's had like Jerome Hughes, he had a quiet season. Like Harry Grant had a quiet sort of a season, but in Origin that's where he steps up, and in the big games, and this is a big game as well. So I think he'll step it up. I think a lot of attention will be on the hammer in the centres. But I think Tony Staggs might surprise a few people as well. I mean, a lot of people thought maybe he might play 1, maybe 2 games in this campaign, but he's held on to his spot every game, so he might be a quiet one to look out for.
He's another one, isn't he, with X Factor? He can be a real match winner. He's done it so many times for the Broncos over the years. I really like what he brings to the centre spot for the Kangaroos. As a Kiwis fan, probably don't like it as much, but yeah, he's a real he's a gun, man. And I quite enjoyed his battle. Him and Timoko last week. They're both quite physical players. They like to mix it up, like to get stuck into one another, one-on-one, and try and take on their opposite man. So. I'm looking forward to seeing what Stags will bring, and likewise, coming back the other way at him.
Yeah, well, as you said there, Timoko, he's had a great debut, couple of games for the Kiwis. Certainly one to look out for as well. Obviously, as we said, Joey Manu as well at the back. Can Isaiah Papali'i do something in the back row? He had a very disappointing season at the Tigers, but seems to love playing for the Kiwis. Kieran Foran at hooker, that's an interesting one. I think an old head there. He usually plays at 5'8" or halfback, but he's been into the hooking position this campaign, but he's been going pretty well.
Oz has done a great job, mate. It's unbelievable when you think about it, that he's still standing, still in one piece. There were times throughout his career in the last few years that he was having to kind of be taped together, much like our beloved captain Tohu Harris. He's come a long way in terms of his longevity in the game, and it probably just highlights the gaps that we have in the Kiwis as well. So some of those key positions, there's some guys coming through. But Foz is doing a job there for us, but it's the difference, right? And that's purely the difference. And you mentioned this, every position that the Kangaroos have, they've got options as well. We've got some really good depth in some areas, but we're just lacking in a few, and I think that gets exposed when we play big matches against Australia.
He's done such a great job, hasn't he, Foz, coming in. I guess it makes a lot of sense having him at dummy half. He's got all the skills. Yeah. He's got great vision. He's tough as nails. He's kind of held together a little bit by a little bit of nuts and bolts, but he's doing a great job. I also think that Fa'amanu Brown coming off the bench, I think he's been doing a really solid job as well. He's a guy who's he's been through pretty much every trial and tribulation that you can have as a rugby league player over the years. A guy who was never supposed to even play again, and to make it back into the Kiwi squad, albeit obviously he wouldn't have been first choice dummy half, but to have him come from mid-season where he was playing New South Wales Cup footy to play last few weeks for the Kiwis at dummy half role, started against Samoa and also off the bench last week against the Kangaroos. Well, I thought he actually played pretty well as well. I like what those two offer in tandem. They're both doing a nice, solid job, just sniping around and just directing those big boys around. So I think the Kiwis are going to need to see more of that. You're going to need to see more taking on the line. Obviously, Brown got a try last week, which was lovely, but they're going to try and do more of that and just try and test out this, the Kangaroos defense and just try and put them a little bit off balance in Hamilton.
And just a little bit off topic, the coach, Michael McGuire, can he do New South Wales and the Kiwis job as well?
No.
No, fair enough. No, that's fair enough.
No. I mean, so just is it confirmed that he is the Blues coach?
It's not confirmed yet, but very strong.
Strong links.
Yeah, very very strong talk that he will be the Origin coach next year. But I don't know what.
So Jed probably has my thoughts on this as well. I know he probably sort of spitballed this a while ago, but I just don't know why you can't have Craig Bellamy and Ricky Stewart. Like, they're both senior coaches where they are. They both have great assistant coaches. Madge McGuire at the Raiders. It's just a short-term campaign. They can have people deputised for them at Clubland as well. They've earned the right to, I think, as well. And look, much maligned Ricky Stewart. We joke and laugh about kind of the Ricky spray and his press conferences as well. But I will give him credit. Like, he that game that they played, the Raiders played opening week of the final series against Newcastle, and had backs against the wall. They had players down, and my gosh, if there's someone that can get a team up as well, Ricky Stewart is beautiful at that, and so is Craig Bellamy. And we're going back to Origin from us Kiwis, right? We see Origin as passion, and we just feel that the Queenslanders just have that all the time. There's a story. It's them against the world, and New South Wales is so much bigger. And I think you need a little bit of that siege mentality, and I think Ricky can do it. So hence why I don't think Madge is the guy.
You're throwing him out. Look, I think it's a tricky one for sure, and especially when you've got a team like New South Wales closely tied in with the Kangaroos' pathways. Obviously, roughly half the team's going to come from that squad. So then it does become a real, the first phrase that jumped in my head was conflict of interest if he does get that job. It kind of I don't doubt Madge's integrity and what he would offer for both teams, but it's a bit odd. It's a bit strange. It's even probably a question of, I don't know, if he can pull off an upset, say tomorrow, for the Kiwis, then I'd probably feel maybe a bit better about things. But it's probably a question as to whether he'd be up to doing both of those roles. And I don't know. I'm still a little bit torn either way. The first instinct is to say no, like Daniel has mentioned. But if there's a chance he can swing something special, then hey,
why not?
Let's believe.
I've got a few. I've got a new solution. We'll sort it out. So Webby will become the Kiwis coach as well, so that we can then low-key recruit all these Australian-based Kiwi players back home to the Warriors, because he'll be managing their careers in international football and bring them back into the Warriors. But
nice.
Maybe not.
Well, I was thinking maybe they could put Stacey as the head coach and Webby as the assistant, who just quietly, vetoes or approves whatever they do. But that was my sneaky kind of thought. I like where you're going with that, Dan.
Well, just talking about just off topic. One of my favourite players is Jared McCracken. I wish he could have played State of Origin. He would have been built for it. He would have loved it. So,
what a player!
We both love Jared McCracken, mate. Back in the day, he was the guy, eh?
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah, crackers. All right, well, we're getting a little bit off subject there, but that's okay. That's okay. It's rugby league talk. All right, let's get into some predictions.
Oof.
What would you like to start with? Score predictions or first try scorer predictions? What would you like to start with?
Good question. Let's go with first try scorer.
Okay. Who you guys got?
I have Brittany Cotter.
Yeah,
I got Brittany Cotter. I just think if we've learnt and we've worked hard this week around our attacking shape, I think there's opportunities for someone like Britain to get over and get a meat pie.
You can pick a kangaroo if you wanted to.
I'll pick a kangaroo as well. How about that?
Okay,
I was just gonna go Dylan Edwards actually. I just think
this is what we do. This is what we do in our podcast. We steal each other's ideas. It's just there's some kind of link there, bro.
yeah. I mean, purely on the fact I don't know how the shape of the game's going to go, but purely on the fact is it's like honestly the young fella rewarded for his heroics over the last 3 years.
Yeah, I for some reason in my head I was just picturing a bit of a flowing left hand movement out to Dylan Edwards and him scoring in the corner. I'm going to go with Dylan Edwards on that one as well. I was actually quite surprised. The biggest thing I was surprised about with Dylan Edwards last week was I saw him make a mistake.
And did you hear Andrew Voss call it? Dylan Edwards at the back. He'll be safe. He's got this one.
Yeah.
He spills it.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, don't kick it to him. He's never going to drop it. And then he dropped it. I was like, oh, well, okay.
Classic. Have you got a Kiwi first try scorer then?
Oof. Let's go. Let's go for the other side. I'll go for Jermaine Isako. Carry on that try scoring form. Nearly got him last week. Nearly dragged his face along the ground at the same time. So I'll tip him to get in for the Kiwis to kick things off.
Nice. Well, most people who know me know that I generally pick a centre as a first try scorer. I don't know what it is, but look, I'm going to go a bit out of sort of square, I guess. I'm going to go Liam Martin as first try scorer.
Nice. Yeah.
So a bit out of the ballpark there. I mean, usually it's a back who scores a first try, but I'm going to go Liam Martin. I don't know what reason, but I don't think he's got to try this campaign, I don't think, off memory. But I'm going to go him. And for New Zealand, I'll go Timoko for a try.
Nice.
All right, score predictions. Obviously, it's going to be a Kiwi win. So, what's the score going to be? Do you think it's going to be lots of points, medium points, defensive game, attacking game?
Yeah, that's a good question. I tend to think there'd be less points than last week.
Yeah, I'm going to be. I'd written down 18-16 Kiwis. Just a little bit more defensively minded as well, a bit more of a grind. As Jed said, the weather might sort of play its hand as well. I mean, that's what my heart is saying. My head is saying something completely different. I probably don't want to share it because it's scary, but yeah. Boys can get up. 18-6.
Look at the strain in his face.
You hope.
Yeah, look, I'll go. Let's have a look. I'll go for the John Cusack special. I'll go 20-12 to the Kiwis. That's my heart pick. I guess are we all not saying our head picks?
You can say whichever you want. Yeah.
Maybe I won't. Maybe we'll just leave that as an inferred.
Just what your expression will kind of give us an indication around where your head is going. So mine was
Yeah.
Look, mine's obviously Australia, and look, it's always so hard to pick these scores, and whenever you do, it's always a good feeling when you do pick the score. But I'm going to go for something like a 24-18. I think there'll just be one try in it, and hopefully it's the Australians that get that.
There we go. We got them.
Get that win.
Record that.
It is recording in. Don't worry about that. Maybe it's maybe geez. Yeah, got me there. So if New Zealand do win, then I'm a winner as well. There you go.
Well, we have been known to be bad influences from time to time, myself and Daniel. So over the years, don't worry about that, bro. You're not the first to get led astray by us.
There we go. All right, we won't worry about a player of the match. What do you think about a player of the championships? Because I mean, obviously, it would come from one of these two sides. What are your thoughts on that one?
Good question. I would tend to think, regardless of the result, I would tend to think it might be a Kangaroos player. And I'll go for Hamilton. I'll pick Hamilton.
Yeah, you read my
player
mind.
of the series.
You read my mind.
Yeah. I agree with that. You know, he can just do half of what he did in the weekend as well, and Australia get the win. He'd stand out player of the series, really.
Yeah, no, good to see that we're all in agreement for that one. That's a good note to end on. So, Daniel and Gerard, thank you very much for joining me today on the Para Cave podcast. And listeners and viewers, subscribe and join the Warriors Anonymous podcast as well. And for all the Warriors fans out there, or even rugby league fans, if you want to listen to some Warriors content and view some Warriors content, I'm sure it was going off this season, and you guys can't wait for next year.
Oh, mate, can't wait. 2024, here we come, baby. Oh.
And also, Troy, mate, we have to, when we get that draw out and we mark that fixture down, one or two fixtures down, we'll need to get you on Warriors Anonymous, mate, to preview that game. For sure. We'll do a game day preview. No worries. Sounds good. Thank you very much, fellas.
Awesome, man. Thank you, man.
Go the Kangaroos.
Go the Kiwis.
Go the Kiwis.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. See you next time.